Greetings, everybody. Rhadamant here. Thanks for tuning in to this second episode of Stellaris Nemesis, which originally aired live on Twitch. When it comes to weapons, as Kadath mentioned, yes, they're a bit like rocks, paper, scissors. And I'll get into that once I have more weapons. But here is my first big choice here. First contact protocols. I am going to keep my policy on aggressive. We must ward those off who would threaten us. So let's go back to the weapons real quick. If you mouse over the weapons, as you can see here, kinetic weapons do increased damage to shields, but decrease damage to armor. Energy weapons do decrease damage to shields, but increase damage to armor. And then you can also pick how much armor and shields you have. After a fight, by default, your shields will regenerate, your armor will not. You'll have to go back to a dry dock to repair. There's a huge array of weapons, and it is a bit like rocks, paper, scissors, where if I had a ship full of shields instead of armor, I'd be weak to kinetics and strong to energy, and then the inverse would be true. And the missiles are somewhere in between. It depends on the missile, and I can cover that once I have that unlocked, which I don't. Alright, so this here at Full Laz is the first colonizable world I've happened upon. It is size 13, which means it's relatively small. They range roughly from like 7 or 8, which would be kind of the smallest you'd ever find, up to 25. Ooh, so this here is a large quest chain. Unfortunately, it's the Erasians, but it's a large quest chain to uncover what happened to a dead civilization calling themselves the Erasian Concordat. And you will, there is, I think there's what, 6 of the, I think there's 6 different types or 5 different types of precursor events, but this is what you would call a precursor event. There's the Cybrex, the First League, the Erasian, the Voltalm, the Ute, primarily. Yeah, those are the 5 primary ones, and they each provide, it's random which ones you get. They're not all equal strength, I will say, and yeah, some are better than others. So the Erasians are kind of a womp womp compared to Cybrex and First League, in my opinion, but either way, it doesn't really matter. I'm not going to need all the advantages. So what I'm going to find here is the first of the Erasian quest chain here, which is I have to find 6 of their artifacts to unlock what happened to them as a precursor. And that requires like high-level scientists or a lot of time spent doing the science. If you hold shift, you can queue up subsequent tasks. So I can tell my
construction online.
I can tell my ships to, whoa, I don't know what that green thing is there, but I can tell my ships here to queue different build orders in a row. That is some glitchiness. I'm just gonna ignore that. So I'm gonna tell this construction ship to build mining stations for the energy credits and the minerals, and then head over to Full Laz to exploit Full Laz and expand my border here. And as you can see here, my border has expanded to Medea, and as promised, I will raffle that off too. So Fangface, this is now called Fangface. Another thing I'm going to want is, given that this world is potentially habitable, I'm going to queue up a colony ship as soon as I can afford it, which will be at the end of this month, to help colonize Full Laz, so that I can spread beyond my primary star. A comet is sighted. So these are just random events that happen. You can't trigger them, but depending on your ethics and yeah, depending on your ethics, you get different bonuses. So a comet is sighted, and I get 40 unity out of it. Now, if I was a spiritualist or if I was a materialist is their way of saying, like, science focused, you'd have different reactions. And that's true of a lot of the events in this game. Is you react differently depending on your style of play. So because I'm a Gestalt consciousness, I'll have a certain reaction here, and that's what this symbol is. This symbol is my Gestalt consciousness reaction. So anytime that you see that symbol, it generally means that if you were a different type of empire, you would have had some different reaction to it. Are the dig sites DLC content? They are. They are the relics DLC
detected.
Or whatever it's called. All right, here's another anomaly that I'm going to leave for now, and I'm basically going to leave all these anomalies until I reach the end of my choke points. Does Gestalt consciousness include all races or just founder race? If I understand you correctly, it's only my main race. So your Gestalt consciousness is more about your government than anything else. It is your authority type. So there's different types. There's democratic, where a new leader's elected every 10 years. There's oligarchic, every 20 years. There's dictatorial, which upon death, we elect a new leader. There is imperial, which upon death, there is a designated successor. Think monarchies. There's hive-minded and machine consciousness, which is a machine intelligence that I am. My leader's immortal. So it's not so much that it's my authority type more than like that I'm a hive mind or something like that. And then there's corporate, which is elected every 20 years, but only for megacorps. It's a Paradox game. Everything is DLC content. Yeah, a lot of the good bits of Stellaris is buried in the DLCs. What I will say though, if you want to play the DLC content without buying it, it's also a Paradox game, which means that if you join a multiplayer lobby with someone else with all the DLCs enabled, you get to play the DLC content too. That's something that all Paradox games follow, as far as I know. So if I was playing this multiplayer and you wanted to join, you could join with just owning the base game, with all of the features of the DLCs more or less enabled for you, which is cool. Hey, Pancake, welcome to the stream. Cheers. Yeah, unfortunately that involves in playing multiplayer. It's true. Well, we are, not me personally, but someone in my gaming community is giving away a copy of Stellaris and Nemesis on my Discord at the end of this week. Okay, so here's a Signs of Precursor Activity anomaly. As you can see, it's extraordinarily hard. It's difficulty level 8. It would take me 1,600 days to research it. I'm going to leave it for now. But what that is it is a precursor anomaly. It's basically an anomaly that, when researched, will give me one of my 6 Arassian artifacts, which is big. And I'm leaving it for now just because I don't want to spend 1,600 days not surveying my borders out, because that would be a big deficit to me. Oh, here's another strategic resource of Zro. Interesting. So at full as I have Zro. Zro tends to be an important resource for spiritualists, which robots like me will never be a spiritualist, so that's not going to help me at all. Don't forget to build the colony ship. Thanks for the reminder. So let's go to the shipyard and queue up a colony ship. If I had a multiple different species on the world where this colony ship is, so this shipyard orbits Yoda Prime, right? Or rather, I should say, the shipyard is part of the part of the Yoda system. It's in the solar system. So when I go to make a colony ship, it's going to ask what kind of colonists do I put in the colony ship. So if I was a civilization that had multiple species, I could pick the species. But obviously I just have one primary species as I'm a driven exterminator, so that really doesn't, that's not a choice I need to make. Can multiple empires trigger the same precursor event? Players trigger precursor events. As far as I'm aware, the AI doesn't. In a multiplayer game, you could be hypothetically competing with another player, however. So what ends up happening at the end of the precursor event is the homeworld of the precursors are revealed to you. There's 5 different outcomes depending on the precursor event you get, and that homeworld exists in the world where you can claim it. But so if I claim the Erassian homeworld, which is eventually what I'm going to be able to unlock, an enemy faction could take that from me. And in doing so, take most of the benefits of it from me as well. So in multiplayer games, you could hypothetically be competing for the same precursor events, especially if you have more than 5 players in your multiplayer game. You're guaranteed to be competing for some, and you could be screwed because my Erassian homeworld in a multiplayer game could be way closer to an enemy of mine, and there would be nothing I could do about it. It's not exactly balanced. All right, so my scientist just gained a level and gained in surveying gained the ability to do military theory, social science a little faster, and found a precursor activity, which is here. So I have 2 of the precursor activity locations already found, and then I have 4 other anomalies that I have yet to do anything about. I am, as a rule, going to ignore all anomalies until I've bloomed out my empire as far as I can. If you're wondering about my disposition throughout the game, I had a YouTube poll, and let me link that for you. But the YouTube poll basically proposed the question of the new Nemesis DLC.
System scan complete.
The new Nemesis DLC introduces spying and introduces becoming the endgame crisis or fighting the endgame crisis. So I had the 4 options of proposed, where a lot of spying be the endgame crisis, low spying be the endgame crisis, low spying be the endgame custodian, or high spying be the endgame custodian. And the majority, or the plurality, voted that I don't employ a lot of spies and I become the endgame crisis. So that's where I'm headed. I'm basically an exterminator. In fact, my empire is called the Udakan Exterminators. All right. Now, this is something important, and I'm going to poll you all about it, but I'm going to explain it before I start the poll. So the poll is the first tradition, which... so the traditions, because I don't have factions, it's less important for me to pick a tradition that lies within the faction. If I had factions, let's say I had a militarist faction, they would want me to get supremacy. If I had a scientist faction, they would want me to get discovery. All these traditions more or less correlate to a type of play. Now, for the first traditions, for me, I always pretty much pick the same first tradition, but I'm going to leave it up to you because I want you to decide. So expansion is a tradition that helps you expand more quickly and effectively. The reason I don't normally pick these is I usually play on really small galaxy sizes, and the benefits of an expansion tradition aren't beneficial to me in the long run because I expand my borders completely pretty early on. Domination is the ability to dominate others, basically make them your vassals or tributaries, which pay you money and are under you. Prosperity is like an economy tradition, which helps things be cheaper and helps you be more productive. Synchronicity is different for organics than it is for machines. For organics, it's going to be... Well, I won't get into that. If you're playing organics, obviously you're not going to have synchronicity. But this is like your leadership strength and stability, sort of strength of governance, I guess, like a cohesion or unity. You'll have supremacy, which is like straight up militarism. It's, you know, stronger, more ships, more combat, that kind of thing. And as you can see, each have their benefits here, where you pick from a tree. You eventually get everything. In the long run, you get everything when your unity goes all the way up and you unlock a new tradition. And then versatility would be your ability to do diplomacy with other civilizations, your ability to form federations and alliances and things like that. And discovery is research speed and surveying speed. Your ability to survey faster or have higher level scientists and things like that. So I've only barely explained it, but those are the 7 main trees, and now you can vote right there. You can vote on my first tradition. And I didn't want to influence it too much, so I kept it mouth shut. What I would say is that to advance your civilization, there are 2 main ways. You can do it through research, or you can do it through unity, or both. I tend to like to focus on both because unity has some insanely strong benefits, especially when it comes to ascension perks. So the way the ascension perks is, once you fill up an entire tree, like if let's say I'll say versatility because there's almost no chance you guys want me to go versatility because it's diplomacy and that doesn't make sense for an exterminator. So let's say I adopt versatility and then I unlock 5 more traditions, so 6 total traditions. Once I complete it, I also get an ascension perk. As you can see, it's the last sentence underneath there. And then that unlocks an ascension perk, and my ascension perks could be Become the Crisis, or nihilistic acquisition, which allows me to raid enemies and their trade lanes, or the Colossus Project, which allows me to basically build the Death Star, or Synthetic Age, which allows me to modify my robots to become stronger. So it's in my opinion, when you adopt a new tradition, it's generally important to completely fill that tradition from start to finish, because when you do so, you get an ascension perk, which is probably the strongest part of the tradition tree. And it looks like we're going discovery. So adopting discovery allows me to research anomalies faster, and then completing it gives me 10% additional research speed, as well as 1 ascension perk. So in 47 months, given my unity gain of 7.48 unity per month, I will get another tradition. Let's finish that up. And yes, generally speaking, I go discovery first, as that allows you to spread your borders pretty quick. Oh, and here's yet another world, Thram, that we'll be able to colonize soon as well. I just have to build my borders out that way. It's weird to see an unmodded game of Stellaris. Yeah, I don't generally play with too many mods. So the colony ship is done in about 140 days, and the construction ship here is about to be done. And we're about to own Full As a result.
Online.
I'm going to be renaming Full As, and let's see, what are we going to name it? Dark Mastery.
System charted. Anomaly detected.
Ooh, so here is a third precursor activity anomaly that we just found. So we have now found 3 of 6. Not that I have them done, but at least I know where they are, which is pretty important. And then I'm going to send my construction ship to exploit all the resources here at Dark Mastery, and then move on to a new system to spread as fast as I can. I'm going to go on bow next. It might be in my advantage to build a secondary construction ship, but it also depends on my influence gain, because at some point what's going to end up happening is I'm not going to have enough influence to claim new systems. Uh-oh. So unfortunately, my governor, Zalek, just got the rigid programming trait, which makes him level up slower, which is not ideal. Not ideal. I'm going to see if I can't cheaply replace him by looking at my leaders to hire and firing them if they don't have the traits I'm looking for. No, okay, we're not going to replace him then. He'll level up a little slower, but the benefit of him doing 20% additional science outweighs the fact that he's a little slow. Doesn't matter since robots are immortal. So my leader here, the Yoda, is immortal, but my individual scientists are not immortal. They can die. My leader doesn't physically exist in the world, but let's say I have my scientist fly into an enemy fleet. If the ship gets destroyed, the leader will die, and then also the robots can break down over time. There is the concept of a lifespan for a robot. So if you mouse over their age,
System scan complete.
You know, we'll say immortal will never die of old age, but they will die of breaking down. So in fact, if we take a look at the synchronicity tree, self-preservation protocols, machine leaders are 50% less likely to suffer breakdowns and accidents. This is basically a way for them to live longer. All right, so here's my colony ship that just got built at the Yoda station, and I'm going to right-click on Dark Mastery and right-click on this planet, Dark Mastery 2, and colonize it. And we'll call this, well, we're going to call this Dark Mastery Prime, so it doesn't confuse me as to where it is. So if you win the raffle for a system named after you, you're also going to have a planet named after you as a added benefit. Yes. What I was doing is basically hiring scumming, where I hire one, I fire them, and then I look to see if there's other replacements. And of course, it does cost me resources to do that. Often I find it's worth doing, but not always. All right, so I'm also going to build a second construction ship so I can start constructing territory acquisitions in the other direction. What I will say is most of the systems I've searched so far have pretty paltry resources. Having 2 energy credits per system is pretty...
System charted.
Pretty crud. Pretty garbage. All right, for this scientist, I'm actually going to have him go this way. I'm going to have him switch back this way, because it looks like this is a big choke point, and this might be a big choke point. I'm not really sure. It's hard to tell, and this one will be too. But I'm going to want to fill it out. Also, I now have unemployment at my main planet. I knew this because I had the little red, this is a briefcase symbol. I know it's small and it's hard to tell. But that means that I have unemployment. One of my menial drones is unemployed. For me to fix this, I said I wanted to build a machine assembly plant. So that's what I'm going to build, but a machine assembly plant is going to take about a year to build. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable my uplink node until the machine assembly plant is done. And this progress bar here represents the time it takes to build this machine assembly plant. All right, so here is another construction ship that I built. I'm going to have it go towards Seat and claim that. And as you can see, I have just shy of enough influence to claim one more system after Seat. So it is a little expensive to just keep claiming. And in fact, I don't even have currently the influence to claim Bumbo yet. Or what is that, Borbo? I thought that was an M, but it's 2 R's. And this is the sort of choke point rush that I was referencing. Do I have my bottlenecks claimed yet? No, not yet. I'm getting there. All right, another thing I'm going to want is to roll out another colony ship, because once I claim Thram here, I have another colony, another 13-size tropical world for me to colonize, which is, for all intents and purposes, identical to the continental one. Now, if we take a look at these worlds here, these worlds will have different districts. So, for instance, this Dark Mastery Prime is going to have more industrial districts than generators or mining. And this Thram 3 has a lot of agriculture, as you can see. Now, both of these have a lot of industrial districts, so I might have them specialized in industry. But it's important to note that each planet might have slightly different types of districts to be available. And as you can see in the planetary features, let's look at Dark Mastery here. It has hot springs, which add generators. It has prosperous mesas, which add mining. And it has rugged woods and black soil, which adds agriculture. So it has 4 agricultural districts max, 4 mining ones max, 5 generators max, and 10 industrial max. And then also the last one is Nexus, which is basically housing. You're never restricted at how many housing you can build. So I could build 13 housing, or let's say 3 housing and 10 industry. You know, it depends on how you want to split it up. So I haven't found any sort of Golden Coast, tons of resources, very resource rich type areas. It also appears that if I own this here and this, Gillis and whatever this is called, these systems are all sort of behind my border. And then this is going to be behind my border as well. So this scientist has there's no real reason to survey these just yet, because I can secure them without even knowing what they are.
Construction online.
And I just was given the announcement that my colony ship has set down in Dark Mastery Prime, and I have started colonizing my first colony. I'm given a bunch of engineering research, and then what ends up happening is, for a period of time, this is about 3 years, we are going to be colonizing this planet where we do nothing and it provides no benefits. It's just in startup phase. It's not going to be yielding us resources or anything like that. There is research later on where you can cut down the time it takes to colonize, online. But initially it's going to be taking you a little bit of time. Another thing I wanted to say is, see, now that I have Borbo, and also Borbo needs to be named after someone, so it's going to be called Zornath. There we are. Zoranth. Sorry, I got that wrong multiple times. But if I just take my construction ship and right-click on the system, I can actually just click Build Mining Stations, and what it will do is it will build all of them. So if we take a look at the constructor here, he has queued up all 3 of the things to mine by himself. Surveyed. Now, if there were important resources that I wanted to prioritize over other resources, what I could do instead is to hold shift and click in the order at which I wanted them exploited. But I don't really care if it's energy credits or minerals. It's not like I'm at a deficit of either, so I'm happy with that system's resources to be exploited in no particular order. It does not matter to me. Now, I'm just about out of influence, which means I'm not going to be able to claim additional sectors, but what's going to be important for me to do is to still survey like crazy to figure out where enemy empires might be, and then to try to push towards the edges of that promptly. Up here is this is sort of your news feed. So this is saying I don't even know how to pronounce this, but this system here, off Chichan got fully surveyed, which doesn't really matter. And then here is Kadath, Frank, and Jarhead all leveled up as scientists, which I think those are my primary leading scientists. These are the ones doing physics, societal, and engineering research. That's why they all leveled up at the same time, because they're doing the same type of work.
System scan complete.
So this here might be an important bottleneck. It's hard for me to tell without knowing the locations of enemies, but owning Gillis here and owning this locks down this whole section here. So it's going to be, I'm going to survey this direction with the scientist. This scientist out here, this is a carefree survey scientist. Looks like this system is going to be important to lock down as well. So I'm going to have him survey towards here, because if I own this, it protects kind of all of this.
Construction online.
All right, so we have a stagnant ascendancy, which is a fallen empire. Oh God, where is it? Is it really close to me? Yeah, it's kind of close. Read between the lines. But the enigmatic observers are a fanatic xenophile fallen empire, which it could be worse. They could be military isolationists. So let me explain this concept. The fallen empires are super powerful enemy civilizations, or I shouldn't say enemy, they don't have to be enemy, but they're super powerful civilizations that collapsed and went stagnant and went dormant. All right, the stream hiccuped for a second. Sorry about that. So early game, you cannot mess with these guys. They could wipe you out in a heartbeat because they are so all powerful. And late game, when you're playing Stellaris, you're generally trying to become as strong as the fallen empires so that you can conquer them, or at least for me, so that I can conquer them. So initially what I'm going to do is I'm going to play nice, because I might be an exterminator, but I'm not a moronic exterminator. I'm going to be friendly with him because, yeah, there's really not much alternative there. And pissing them off early on could be really bad. So this fallen empire will have a certain attitude towards me. And their general attitude towards people is that they're dismissive. They're so high and above that they're dismissive. So this is an enigmatic observer, which is sort of they really like to watch other species or whatever. And what's going to end up happening here is
detected.
You can kind of see the bubble of their empire here. It bubbles here. So this effectively is a choke point that is already owned by someone else. I don't actually need to survey it, which means I gotta go start surveying somewhere else, because this is owned by the enigmatic observers, and no one's gonna be able to take that from them in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. I mean, they're that powerful comparatively.
System scan complete. New technology discovered.
All right, so what did you miss? Just for YouTube's sake, I dropped out of Twitch stream for a minute. So what happened, bringing you guys up to speed, is I met an enigmatic observer which owns this plot of land. And then I finished my nanomechanics research. So let's pick a new research here. The next research I want Jarhead Boone to do is probably improve servo motors. So this gives me a little bit more minerals for the miners that have that menial task, and then a little bit more army damage. It also leads to better robots. It leads to further advancements in the field of robotics. And I'm going to check again if there's not a better scientist. Man, the systems that I've been surveying have so little of everything. It's actually depressing. Every system has like barely anything. But hey, all aboard the struggle bus. So where I'm going to want to... I'm really not sure where my true bottleneck might be. My true bottleneck might be up here in the north, or up, or down here, downwards. It does seem like, due to the placement of the analytics observers, I'm going to be relatively protected from my neighbors. Because it seems to me, unless I'm interpreting this map incorrectly, that most of the paths out of my territory go through this fallen empire, which has closed its borders to me. So I cannot travel through there.
Anomaly detected.
All right. More anomalies that I'm just going to ignore for now. But we are sort of reaching a point where I'm going to know my bottlenecks, which is very, very helpful. We are getting to that point here. Mostly because of this Destican Ancients. Which is too bad. And then I'm saving up my influence, 15 more influence, which will take me 4 more months to colonize Thram there. But to partner colonization of Thram, I should have another colony ship. So let me roll out a colony ship off the line so that I can colonize Thram 3.
Construction online.
And now I have some idle construction ships. So I think this construction ship I'm going to pull over to Marak here and start colonizing or start claiming the systems upwards, because it doesn't seem like there's a lot of bottlenecks in this area region here for whatever reason. It's just RNG, you know, the randomness of chance. Another thing I probably could do is to roll out another science ship so I can start doing anomalies in archaeology. Do I survey or explore? Generally speaking, I survey. You have to survey to be able to claim territories. Exploration would be really good too. So I think what I'm going to do with this scientist specifically is once I'm done surveying Bernie, I'm going to have him or her, their computer, so they're generalists. I'm going to have it start to do like border exploration rather than surveying. Figuring out where the obvious edges are. Because this Fallen Empire really throws a wrench into the works, because they're going to act as a barrier, an impassable barrier for hundreds of years to come. Maybe not hundreds, but like at least 100 years to come. All right, let's do the outpost at Thram, and then also we need to rename Siet, so it's going to be renamed Popcorn. Congrats, Popcorn. And there's a archaeology site at Popcorn that I
System scan complete.
could get to. All right, so this here,
Anomaly detected.
this scientist here, I'm just going to start to do basic exploration. So basic exploration, once you initially enter a system, allows your navy and construction ships to enter that system too. If they're completely unexplored, as you can see here, we need a fully crewed science ship to explore a system we have no intel on. Basically, science ships have to be the first ones to enter a new system, and if they're not, you're just not going to be allowed to go there. So my construction ships could go to Lingal, which I haven't fully surveyed, but at least I have knowledge of. But they're not going to be able to go to areas that are completely unknown. Them's the rules. All right, I'm also going to send this surveyor. No, actually, I'm going to send it to survey, explore the center here. I think this is all locked dead end, oddly, as a result of the Fallen Empire. Now, it's also possible that the Fallen Empire will allow enemy civilizations through its territory. So there's a possibility of me being attacked through it. but there's a very, very slim possibility that they would allow construction ships and scientists through it for them to be able to claim territory on the other side. Because the way the territory claim works is for each hop that you have to make, it adds cost. So for me to claim one territory like Marak, it costs me 75 resources. If I wanted to pass over Marak and go to the next one, it'd be 150 and 225 and so on and so forth. It would get exponentially more expensive the further out from your current border. Excuse me, I feel like Rick Sanchez. The further out from your current borders that you expand, it becomes, increasingly more expensive. Whereas if I wanted to colonize something across the entire galaxy, it's going to cost me my entire pool of influence, all 1,000. Which I've done in some games in desperate situations, but I don't advise it.
Anomaly detected.
I do not advise it. So I should have the survey ship, or colonizing ship, out shortly for Thram, and Thram needs a name too. Gonna be Jim Bob.
Construction online.
So it looks like the Fallen Empire, despite not meaning to, will give me a considerable amount of border security, which I find very, very, very interesting. This is a very strange start as a result. And there's the colony ship. Perfect. Jim Bob Prime. What a name for what a planet.
New technology discovered.
Okay. So we finally got our physics technology done. And I am going to do the survey speed research next. Because of the placement of this Fallen Empire, it's even more likely that I have early game naval conflicts. So I am really not all that concerned about having a strong navy early game. It's quite likely that I will be able to sit on my laurels and do very, very little in terms of navy. I will look to fight, but I seem to be in my own weird corner of the galaxy with very few opportunities for enemies to find where I am. It's strange. We also got a new archaeology site called Get Inside here at Akamar. So once I own that system, we'll do some archaeology there. And, ooh, okay, here we go. First contact with an unknown entity. What are you? These are, okay, that's not an enemy civilization. So the way this works now, and this is going to be different from past versions of Stellaris. So if you're not familiar with the Nemesis DLC and the newest update, the 3.0 update, this is very, very different. So previously, when you discovered new aliens, you would go into the situation log and you would get the new aliens, and you would research the aliens for contact with societal research. Now it is with envoys. So as you can see, assign an envoy to learn more about the beta aliens. So here's the contact. And in this spot here, I can assign an envoy. My envoys need names, don't they? But I'm going to assign Computer Pentagon. That's the envoy's name. Can I rename my envoys? Maybe you can't rename your envoys. Never mind. But I'm going to assign my envoy to start investigating this fleet of aliens here. And this might actually mean that, well, no, this was, what are they, amoeba? I don't know what they are, but they're not. Yeah, that might be amoeba. They're not an enemy civilization. I can say that with 100% assurance.
New technology discovered.
Okay, we got a new tradition, and my tradition is going to be exploration drones, which increases my survey speed. As you can see here, I am focusing on survey speed a lot. And then For societal research, I'll go positronic CPUs. Not that I want admin capacity, but this leads to espionage. This leads to covert ops type stuff. Okay, so the first contact here, the way this works is there's a level of difficulty, and you're literally, periodically, as you can see this phase here, investigation phase, you will roll more or less like a digital die. You don't have to do the rolling yourself, and what ends up happening is, depending on your code breaking ability, you'll have a breakthrough chance, and as I gather insights into this species, I increase my ability to discover what they are and who they are and more information about them. So that's sort of what's going on over there, and there's not much to do but to have Computer Pentagon, the envoy named Computer Pentagon, just continue to investigate that. And here's another one. This one, whoa, what was that, 11? Oh dear lord. This is probably the Caravaneers or something like that. But here's another one that I'm going to contact as well. So we have 2 contacts now, and my other envoy is going to be dedicated to figuring out who they are. Which is significantly different than previous patches where you would just use societal research. And that's pretty cool that Nemesis introduced this mechanic. I as a veteran Stellaris player, I fully approve of not having to do societal research. Because what used to happen is you would completely stop your societal research progression here. Like, you would stop researching whatever you were researching. You would just research that one species, and it was kind of dumb. Because it derailed your research and all that. I just didn't like that functionally. All right, I think what I'm going to do is to have my surveyor at Akamar turn around and go the other direction, go sort of the up and left.
Anomaly detected.
Wow, there's a lot of anomalies there. All right, almost done.
System surveyed.
There. No, it's not surveyed. What are you talking about? You'll lie to me. All right, so it looks to me that my most significant choke points
System surveyed.
are going to be this area here and this area here. So that's what I'm going to focus my expansion on now, is to secure my borders specifically to this spot here, which then would protect all of this, which is enormous, and then at least to this spot, if not higher. So this construction ship is going to go to Hodius and prepare to claim Hodius. And here we go, first contact. So the first contact investigation is now locked. The first phase of contacting gamma aliens is done, and we're going to proceed to the next phase. There's multiple stages, and there's really not going to be anything to report until they're completed. Also, what just happened is, I can't disable that. Dark Mastery Prime has fully colonized. Dark Mastery Prime is now a proper colony. It's a fledgling colony with only like 3 robots on it, but 3, compared to the 30 that I have on my other planet. But the first thing I'm going to build here is a machine assembler, so that we populate it more quickly. And then over at my first planet, I am going to replace my generator. No, I need more. I'm going to build some extra research labs to increase my research speed. And we also got first contact on the other these gamma aliens. No, these beta aliens. We just initiated the first stage as well. So I don't think the constructor that's down here, I don't think that there's going to be any major bottlenecks down in the bottom part of my empire. So I'm going to have this constructor start beelining it up towards the upper part of my empire, which I think I'm going to have a lot more border war. It's going to be really important for me to push where I think I'm going to have border wars. Small street, so the reason I'm not too worried about the territory down here is, let's say there's an empire on the other side of this fallen empire. The other empire would need to travel through this fallen empire and start surveying the worlds here without me noticing their survey ships, which is unlikely. And then they would need to spend the exorbitantly expensive influence to claim a system multiple hops away from their current border. So let's say the shortest is 3 hops. To colonize this system, or this system will be 3 or 4 times more expensive for whoever wants to colonize that than versus me. So that's why I'm not really worried about my border down here, is the likelihood that the AI take this territory from me through multiple hops of a fallen empire is extraordinarily unlikely. Our fallen empire is strong, so they are unbelievably strong. If we take a look at the victory, my current score is 724. This ancient society here is 44,779. They are so ridiculously stronger than me, it's hard to even calculate. So if you click on them, I don't even have enough espionage knowledge to know how much stronger they are, but I can tell you, one of their fleets, even one of their ships, a single ship from their navy could destroy my entire empire if they wanted. Now, the way the game works is that the fallen empires, unless you stupidly poke them and antagonize them, they will basically more or less leave you alone until much later in the game. You can choose to go to war with them, but it would be like poking the bear. But in this case, not a bear, like I don't know. I don't even know what the right size would be. It'd be like a field mouse versus a polar bear. It would be such a joke that the polar bear might not even realize he stepped on the mouse.
Establishing colony.
All right, so Jim Bob Prime is being established, and it's going to be a few years before Jim Bob Prime is ready to be a full-fledged colony. Yeah, so don't go to war with fallen empires until you're ready. Yeah, because they're endgame. They are very much endgame enemies to mess with, and if you mess with them early game, they will kill you, and they will totally destroy you.
Detected.
All right, more anomalies that I'm going to ignore for the sake of survey speed. I have a water balloon, and the Fallen Empire has a 105mm howitzer. Yeah, but worse than that. It's so one-sided. It's not even a fight.
Anomaly detected.
All right, all these anomalies that I'm detecting, I'm just going to ignore. So Beta Aliens is the Tenyaki. Or Tinyanki. And that ends
initiated.
the Tinyanki chain. So now we know about the Tinyanki. The Tinyanki, I can tell you, are not an enemy civilization. They are just a spacefaring species that we can basically ignore for now. But we have fully engaged them, and I'm going to be given an opportunity to decide what to do with that knowledge soon. Man, this is such a weird start. I gotta say, this is because of the placement of this Fallen Empire, and me being in my own like galactic pocket. This is so strange. I like it. It puts me in a particularly dominant position where I can focus. So really early game, you can focus, if you have to fight a lot of wars, it means you're not really investing in your economy, which then makes you weaker later on. So because I'm in my weird own pocket galaxy that is more or less impassable to whatever enemies I might have, it puts me in a situation where, like, I don't have to focus on a military basically at all for a long time, allowing me to grow fat and, well, not fat, but grow very, very, very strong. So the other one is the Zuracorp. They are...
Comms initiated.
So the Zuracorp, there's something in this game called enclaves. They aren't civilizations. They're just, there's 3 different types of enclaves. There's trader enclaves, there's curator enclaves, and there's art enclaves. And they can provide a little bit of a benefit for you. So Zuracorp here is a trade enclave. They're high trader, as you can see. And what they allow you to do is they allow you to exchange... Zuracorp specifically allows me to buy exotic gases for a certain amount of energy credits per month. Once I build up enough reputation with him, he'll allow me to do something a little bit more interesting. But they aren't civilizations in their own right. They are just a single little trader base where they don't, they don't colonize, they don't go to war. You can destroy them if you want, but they don't really pose any threat to you. So that's what that one is. So of all the species I've met so far, not a single one is actually an enemy empire. They're just passives. Your very first bits. Well, I feel honored, Pancake Hammers. Thank you. And Yoda's honored too. He doesn't look it. He looks like a, just a lump of fluffy meat. That's what you are, buddy. Oh, you know what? It just occurred to me. I am pretty soon going to have another colony to name. Hodius is going to be named after one of you guys.
Surveyed. System scan complete.
Wow, this system sucks. But we're going to claim it anyway. The Hodis area, and I'll name it after one of you guys. And then we're just going to travel up to whatever this is called. I don't know what the name is, but good luck when I get it. Another thing I'm going to start to name after people is my ships. So this ship is called Composite 164. Let's give it a better name. It will be the Dakin BBs. So all of my corvettes are going to be the Dakins. And then I'm not going to do defense platforms because I'd feel really bad about that. I don't use defense platforms normally. So I'm not going to name someone after something I don't use. But oh, here we go. We have got another empire. This here is an actual empire. I can tell you that from experience. As you can see, they have construction ships, they have mining stations. So this here, Savasic, is like a real full... Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to cancel building at Hodius and refund my my influence to very, very aggressively and push towards Exilian here. Because I have an enemy at Savasic here. And I don't want them to capture Exilian, because if they capture Exilian, I won't be able to travel up this way. I'm going to pull the plug on surveying Savasic, because it's not my territory and I'm not going to get to own it. And alternatively, I'm going to start surveying out this way to see where the borders of their empire are. But I can 100% with assurance say that this is an enemy empire, and this is the first neighbor I'm going to meet. And I'm going to throw Pentagon at it. Pentagon's one of my envoys, mind you, not actually the Pentagon. So yeah, they are probably situated somewhere, their heart of their empire somewhere around here, and we just happen to hit a border here. But I really, really, really want to get Exilian first, because if I don't get Exilian first, there's a limit as to how far north I can go. It would be not great. And that also means that this surveyor here, I really want to get this choke point here, or ideally that one. But I want to start to fill in the map up here to figure out where they are. So they're here too. As you can see, they have structures here. So I'm just going to completely pass through Poa and see where they are, try to find their edge, in other words. And what I'm also doing is I'm tasking both of my construction ships to leapfrog construct as quick as I can, to try to find the borders. What was that anomaly? 1, 2, no, okay. I thought, oh yeah, I have 4 of the 6 precursor anomalies already found, which is pretty awesome.
Fleets enhanced.
All right, let's hire an admiral. I want a good admiral, and then I'm going to name this admiral after you guys. Here. You are going to be Admiral, not Nightbot. Nightbot, you can't give yourself admiralship. You suck, Nightbot. All right, let me try that again. I apologize. It's not Nightbot. It's Daedora. Admiral Daedora. Yeah. And then, knowing that I have an enemy up here, I'm going to start rolling out corvettes, which is, the only sort of naval ship that I have access to for now. Yeah, Nightbot's like, I win. It's like, no. Disqualified. You've been watching Stellaris Nemesis, which originally aired live on Twitch. This series is a result of a poll that I put out to my Twitch subs and Patreon patrons, and they overwhelmingly voted that I should be able to pick some of the games I play on stream. So I chose Stellaris Nemesis, as Stellaris is a personal favorite game of mine. If you have any feedback for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of this, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule, countdown timer, and links to Twitch, Discord, and, well, everywhere else. Thank you so very much for watching. I'll catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell.